Hey guys, how's it going? We'll get started here shortly. Talk to me in the chat box, or I think you can do Q&A if you like, but let's probably do chat box would be great for interaction. This is Darlene. I am the queen of foreclosures. Been in the business an awful long time. How you guys doing? Some of you I recognize, some of you are new. I haven't seen you before. Let me know you can see me. Let me know you can hear me. Say something in the chat box to me. Let me know everybody's ready to go. Leading this foreclosure group. This is the Ultimate Foreclosure Group, one of the super groups for Stacy for REI USA. I'm excited to be here. Hello, hello. Hey, Deborah. Good to see you too. Anyway, I do this every month. So the fourth Tuesday of the month, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Thanks, Brian. Thank you. Thank you. Anyway, let me know what kind of subjects you want to hear each month. You know, put me on your calendar. We spend an hour together here. I'm also the founder of the Ultimate Foreclosure Formula. It's a coaching course, basically. Spend 3 months with me at least, and we take you by the hand, lead you every step of the way into the foreclosure realm. I've done foreclosures forever. I've done all stages of foreclosure. I mean, I'm telling you, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars in acquisitions and sales. So I definitely have earned the title Queen of Foreclosures. So if there's anything I can do to help you, I am in Atlanta, Georgia, have done foreclosures in many states. Each state's a little bit different. If you're just getting into the business, or if you're looking for some deals this year, you know, in most of our areas, we need to be going direct to seller. So, you know, they call me Queen of Foreclosures, but that's my niche. That's where I just kind of start my day, and but I do everything. Again, 30 years in the business, been a real estate broker for quite some time, several states, real estate investor specializing in pre-foreclosure, foreclosure auctions, and post-foreclosure REOs direct with the bank. So I'm excited and ready to do a session coming soon. Maybe in the next couple months, I'll do a session on where we won't even do the PowerPoint presentation. I'll just go take a deep dive into several REO platforms where we actually go to the REO auctions and look at what's going on there. Right now, there's just not enough inventory. You know, there's several auction platforms that I like to make offers on, and just not enough inventory right now. And at the courthouse steps, if you're a judicial or non-judicial state, it determines whether or not the property is sold at the steps or sold inside the courtroom. Florida has some online auctions, even though they're foreclosure stage 2. Georgia, Texas, we do at the courthouse steps, every county once a month. Georgia, Texas, they're a couple of the fastest foreclosure processes in the United States. Therefore, we have a lot of investors from all over the world buying properties in these states. So let me know what you need to know. Let me know what questions you have. Tonight, I'm going to go back to basics again. Right now, in the Atlanta market, we are all about finding the deals. Right now, it's finding the deals. There's so many offers, so much competition, so many cash buyers, and a lot of the markets across the country are like that. So it's a good time to look at some buy and hold strategies, maybe in secondary markets where you are cash flowing. In a little while, like, you know, 6 to 9 months maybe, and for the next several years, I'm going to be focusing on zero equity, low equity deals. Not everybody goes after zero equity deals. So in that particular case, one, I'm going to have less competition. All I need is a very motivated seller who's willing to walk away from their house for what they owe on it. And we have so many options for them. So get a pencil and paper out. And I'm ready to dig in if you guys are. Just give me a thumbs up. Let me know if you're ready. And let's just go down this path together. I'm going to talk about, I don't know, I think I'm going to talk about buying your next property. How about that? Let's see what it takes to buy your next property. So I much prefer interaction, but I can talk all night and then some on the subject. So if you don't just want to hear me, at least throw some questions in there and we'll go from there. Let me turn, I can tell that my phone is like a baby. It's going to get ready to make a noise. So let me turn it off, turn off the volume at least. All right, so do you know much about the North Carolina market with regards to foreclosures? So North Carolina, do you know if you're a judicial or non-judicial state, Deborah? I can show you what I do, how I do find that out. One of the things is just to go ahead and Google it. So as a judicial state, your process is that the lender has to sue the borrower to get possession. I think you guys might be a little bit of both. Let me just look real quick, see if I can tell you on that one. So I am an affiliate for foreclosure.com. And let me go ahead and get signed in real quick. And you could get this off of my website. My website is ultimateforeclosureformula.com, just like on the screen, Ultimate Foreclosure Formula. So if I go ahead and sign in here, and let's say that I want to look up North Carolina, for example, and this is what I do is pull up. It's been a while since we've been in North Carolina. We bought a lot of REOs, but not really at the steps themselves. So let's see here. We're going to look at, give me a quick second. It's been a while since I looked up the laws here. Foreclosure laws in North Carolina. So you'll see at the top, you've got the state, the foreclosure listings, judicial, non-judicial. As you can see, Alabama, in some cases, it's both. The foreclosure timeline, a redemption period. We've done quite a bit in Alabama, but the problem is in foreclosure there, the owner has up to 12 months to redeem their property. So that's what we're looking for. Does the lender issue a deficiency judgment, or can they issue a deficiency judgment? And so we'll go through there. But let's go to North Carolina. They are both. And that's what I thought, is there is a judicial and a non-judicial process. It takes 2 to 4 months to get through the process. And that's kind of, it's a short term. It doesn't take much. What that really translates to is it could be about 6 months with no issues. They have a 10-day right of redemption. So after the foreclosure, you just have to wait it out for 10 days. Not a big deal. They do have a deficiency judgment. Not every lender exercises the deficiency judgment against the borrower, which means that if they owe $200,000, but they were to sell the property for $180,000, there might be a $20,000 deficiency tax event that they could owe taxes on. There is an IRS form 982, I believe it is, that says I'm insolvent as a defaulted borrower, and that could override the requirement to pay taxes on that. So, and then this one here, if you guys reach out to me, support@darbyshouses.com. I'm going to put that in here. Support@darbyshouses.com. Yeah, put it in the chat box. If you guys reach out to me and you're looking for free pre-foreclosure leads, any type of leads, but let's say, for example, I wanted to go to North Carolina, right? And I'm going to look up here. I can pull several different types from this website alone. You can see there's 468 foreclosures, 22 HUDs, pre-foreclosures, 1,288. Then you're going to narrow it down. You'll start narrowing it down, and I'm going to show you some of the process that I work through. Typically what we do in Georgia is I buy a list here. Each state has list providers. There's several national list providers. Foreclosure.com here is one of them. But once you get your list, you kind of go from there, and then you start your process. As I mentioned earlier, is I start my process with pre-foreclosures, but then I claim my territory. I saturate a particular geographical market. because pre-foreclosures, I advertise every month to pre-foreclosures. And in the last 3 to 4 months, we had about 5 that we've done between my students and my staff. But we also went through a dry spell when we couldn't get any pre-foreclosures done. Sometimes those could be short sales, sometimes subject to deals. Give me a second. Sometimes we do all cash at closing. So there's many ways to buy them depending if there is equity or no equity. But again, starting with pre-foreclosures, once we have the list there, then we'll go to the neighborhood. You need to be out driving your territory, right? We're looking at pre-foreclosures. We're talking to folks that have been in foreclosure before, will be in foreclosure again. What I've learned is most foreclosures go up to the foreclosure list more than once. Most foreclosures don't foreclose the first time around. My mantra, one of them is make more offers, see less houses. So right now there's a ton of households in forbearance. A lot of the forbearances are about to end. The government, of course, this is the same thing happened in 2008. They created a program to help out folks, and then they extend it and extend it and extend it. So we're about at the end of the extending. The forbearance was started in March 2020, and it was good for 6 months basically. And it said that if you are current on your loan and you ask your lender if they would allow you to defer your payments, basically stop making payments, that the lender would do that. And there would be no penalty to the borrower. There would be no reporting to the credit agencies that you're not making your payments. Now, there's a few other things going on in the background at the same time, but this was a good way to help the folks with the economy going through what it did for the pandemic and so on. So the forbearance was good for 6 months to start, and then it was extended for 3 months and extended for 3 months and extended for 3 months. So anyone who started back in March of 2020 could continue up until about September this year, 18 months worth of non-payments. So guess what happens at the end of the 18 months? Now the borrower and the lender have to come to an agreement on how are they going to basically come back to ground zero with the loan. So one, if the lender, depending if they're FHA, VA, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, insured, USDA, those kind of insured loans, then they would allow, if the borrower would ask, they would allow the borrower to take that non-payment, that forbearance non-payment, however many months, 6 months, 9 months, 18 months, and put it to the side. It's what I call a silent second mortgage. And the reason I call it a silent second is because no payments are owed on it. There are no monthly payments owed on it. But if that was $1,000 a month for 18 months, that's $18,000 that sits out here to the side. Once the loan comes due, let's say that your loan is a 30-year loan and you've paid on it for, let's say you paid on it for 5 years. So 25 years from now, your silent second sits there, and then that $18,000 is owed at the end of that period of time, or when you sell the house, or when you refinance. So no monthly payments are owed, but it will become owed later, basically. So when you go to sell your house, that's a second mortgage basically that has to be paid off. That's one option. That's a very friendly, easy option for most folks to work through, unless they've gone through unemployment, their job didn't work out, their job was canceled, their company's closed, whatever the case may be, and they did not, and they're still suffering economically. If they're going through an economic downturn themselves, a sufferance, then they may not be able to afford the monthly payment that they had prior to the pandemic. So in that particular case, they may have to qualify for a loan modification. And as many people as on this call as how many different variations of loan modifications there are. So in some cases, the lender will take the payment you haven't paid plus your normal loan and wrap it all up into a brand new loan and even go out as far as 40 years and set up new terms. That's one option, but it's pretty much almost a full qualifying. You have to qualify for that loan modification. Another one is to, again, take that non-payment, set it to the side, and then just continue your payment as if nothing ever happened. And once you continue that, once again, your credit score doesn't get affected in a good way, bad way, just keeps on keeping on. If you can't afford that monthly payment and wrapping it all together doesn't work, in some cases, the lender will do a loan modification that can change your loan payment and bring it down. So, but borrowers have to be willing to talk to lenders. And part of the problem is borrowers don't know what's available to them. And that's where we come in, right? So when it comes to pre-foreclosures, that's we have to come in, we have to understand the market, we have to be willing to work with them and work with their lenders and those kind of things. Now, we're of course looking for people who want to sell their house. So if they come out of forbearance and they're not able to get caught up, that's one big bucket, one big tsunami of foreclosures that I believe is going to hit the market in the next 24 months. Now, I've been predicting for quite some time that our foreclosure market, the tsunami, is going to be like 2023 to 2026. I think the brunt of it is going to be in that period of time. It's going to start around 2023, the end of 2022, where it's going to start really escalating. The number is going to get higher and higher, number of foreclosures. So that's why we're having this conversation, is how do we prepare? What part of the business are we looking at? How do we help people? How do we get to the end of the rainbow, if you will, in that sense? The other big bucket are the foreclosures that, you know, the government has dictated the moratorium that the lenders are not allowed to foreclose. So once again, that's coming to an end. There's a lot of things going on, once again, behind the scenes, that even though the moratorium is coming to an end, the lenders, a lot of the big players, the big banks, are still not going to foreclose this year. So, but it's going to happen. It's not just sitting there, it's going to happen. There are millions of loans in foreclosure that are more than 90 days late right now. You know, millions of loans that are not even in the foreclosure process, that are just sitting on the sidelines, that are more than 90 days late right now. So those are the defaulted loans. The forbearance were the current loans. So in the few million forbearance loans, some of them, I don't know, probably, I think at least 25% are not going to be able to come out whole at the end. So just a lot of things going to happen. However, the market's different than it was in 2009, 2010, 11, 12. Number one, a lot of areas, the values are not suffering. One of the reasons the values are not going to go down necessarily is because you have a lot more bigger players in the market than we did back then. In 2007 and 8, we didn't have Wall Street investors. We didn't have hedge funds buying single family homes. They always saw multifamily as an investment class, right? An asset class to invest in. You know, that they could control 20,000, 50,000, 500,000 doors across the country. But it took them a minute. It took them probably a half a decade to get to that point of understanding and learning how they can control several thousand or several tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of doors across the country as single family homes. So that's where we are right now. And that's a moving target. They're buying our houses and creating rentals. The Airbnb, the short-term rentals, they're buying houses and creating rentals. And so that's also affecting the inventory. So I suspect that the lender will be incentivizing builders in the next couple of years, because one good way to get more inventory is to build it. So all these things are happening. Anyway, let's move to the next one. So you need to create the deal. First of all, 6 things I think you need to be successful is make as many offers as you can. So I start with pre-foreclosures, but I also look on all of the foreclosure websites, and I look for auction properties to bid on. I also look for sale by owners in my same area. I look for MLS listings that may have been on the market for too long. And what I'm doing is I'm not making an all cash offer necessarily. I may give them their price if they give me my terms. So in creating the deal, I have to find the motivated seller first, and then I have to find out what the solutions are to their issues. So that's what I try to do. And right now, focusing on vacant properties right now and in the future, focusing on vacant properties is a good way to go, because you will have a much easier time getting to the closing table if the property is already vacant and nobody has to move, nobody has to find a place to move into. A lot of the markets that we deal in we're having a hard time getting offers accepted because you have to pay too much for the property. So that's another reason we start with the list, and then we drive the territory. We're looking for distressed properties. And once we find distressed properties, we try to find the owners, and then from there, create the deal, create the offer, create the situation that is not already on the market. One thing, when you're dealing with pre-foreclosures, or when you're dealing with just I call it natural person owners in general, a lot of times your offers are not accepted the first time. You got to send follow-up offers. This is almost as important as the initial offer. Brian asked, do you close subject to often? We do. Interesting. So subject to, if those are brand new to the business, in subject to, this means you can purchase a property, you can acquire a property subject to the existing mortgage. So when we deal with pre-foreclosures, when we deal with for sale by owner, when we deal with anybody who has a mortgage on their property, the first thing we want to know, what's your situation? Why are you selling? What do you want to have happen? These are my questions I'll get to in a little bit. And once I know that I have somebody that's in distress and needs to sell, then I'm going to go down that route, and I'm going to ask, what's the mortgage payment? I mean, how much is the mortgage? How much is the mortgage payment? Does it include the taxes and insurance? Is it in default? And how much would it take to bring it current? Once I know those, and I say, are you willing to walk away for what you owe on it? And they say, I'm ready to wash my hands. I don't want the foreclosure on my record. I want to be done with it. Absolutely. Then I got a subject to deal. Subject to is one of the big subjects that we spend a lot of time on. We're in the process of selling a couple subject twos. We bought them, put 20-some thousand in it, in reinstating the loan, 20-some thousand in it to renovate it. And we're selling it because we have over 45,000 in cash out of pocket. So we really want our cash back out. But when we sell a subject to, we done sold the golden goose. So, but in a lot of cases on buy and hold, if it's a very ugly property, which means it needs a lot of work, you're going to have to find gap funding. You're going to have to find your own funds to put in the deal also to keep that subject to in place. And so it simply means if I find somebody to sell me the property subject to, I get the title to the property, but the loan stays in their name. I'm bringing the loan current on their behalf. I'm renovating the house with my money. I'm paying the monthly payment on their behalf. So I am helping their credit situation go up, but I own the property legally, but I don't own the debt, and I don't have to qualify for it. That's subject to. So just to give that explanation. When we have burned out landlords, absentee owners, we purposely look for properties with low equity. So if you go out and you look for a property, in my wheelhouse would be 1,100 square feet and bigger, 1970 built or newer, under 2 acres. It's just what I look for, under 2 acres. And I want them to have owned it for about 10 years. And in one of my favorite areas, I want them to have purchased it for less than 150,000. If that's the case and they've owned it for 10 years, then in that case, that particular property, if they have not refinanced it, that's a good subject to for me if it's not owner occupied. In another case, I may look for one that they purchased 5 years ago and they don't occupy it, and there's not a lot of appreciation in that area, right? And so in that case, they may have a hard time getting it sold. Some areas, most areas right now, that's not the case. But as the time passes and we get past this crazy multiple offer, paying too much for houses, you're going to see a lot more subject to available. So in the type of deals that I search for, subject to is very common in what we do. Investors who have problems doing subject to is more than anything a lot of inexperience, or they're dealing with the wrong type of owner. If you go too high, if you're looking over 350,000, it may be very difficult to deal with somebody. The higher up economically somebody is, the more savvy they are a lot of times. And they say, who in their right mind would give you the title and keep the loan in their own name? Who would do that? And I've got answers. So I don't look for the newer properties. I don't look for the ones who just purchased recently. And I really try to keep it under 3.25. Now I know some areas that's not possible. So it's a matter of, it really is, and I'll show you those questions in a minute. It's a matter of having that communication open, having that conversation with the seller, and understanding on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the most motivated, they're a 5 or a 10 to need to sell their house in the next 30 days. There has to be a trigger. There has to be a pain point. They're in default, they're in divorce, somebody's passed, they're relocating, or they've got medical issues. They say those are the top 5 issues. And sometimes, look, people are willing, your life changes. When something like that has happened, you look at life very differently. You're distressed. You're under a major heavy burden that you just have to walk away from. So that's what we're looking for. Automate as much as possible time blocking. So I say that the most important thing in time blocking right now is finding the deal. If you're on this call and you have no problem finding very low cost deals that numbers look amazing, like let's say this, ARV is called after repaired value or fair market value. If you think the property can be purchased for less than 50% of fair market value, please tell me in the chat box, please tell me that you are in an area and give me the 2-digit state zip code, state code. What state are you in? And if you can find those, then this does not apply to you. But for the rest of us, the most important thing in time blocking is to find distressed properties. And again, I spend most of my training on finding distressed properties. I mean, literally, let me take my foreclosure list in my zip code 30303. All right. Now I found 5 properties in 30303. Now I mapped my route. I make 150 flyers. I have my business cards, postcards, whatever you want to use. And I'm going to go out there. And my goal is not to target those 5 houses alone, but to target, every time I get out of my car, I want to put out at least 12 flyers, right? Or postcards. Number one, I'm not going to go directly to the house that's being foreclosed. I'm going to go 3 houses to the left and 3 houses to the right. So I'm going to park a couple driveways down, going to get out, and I'm going to walk 12 houses, right? So I'm knocking on the doors and I'm saying, hey, this is Darlene from Darby's Houses. Do you know anyone who needs to sell a house in the neighborhood? We're looking for houses to buy here. Sometimes I say it's Darlene with the real estate rescue team. Sometimes I say, hey, we are, this is Darlene with Darby's Houses. We are cleaning up the neighborhood and doing some renovations. Do you know anyone who needs to sell a house? And they say no. And then I say, and I'm going to do the same thing with distressed properties. That house over there, which is across the street, 2 houses down, right? And I'm going to say that house, how long has that house been vacant? We want to clean it up, but we need to get permission from the owner. Do you know who owns it? Whatever your strategy is, you're talking to people. You're not being confrontational, knocking on the door of the pre-foreclosure and say, and now I got door knockers who do this, but I don't like to go and say, hey, this is Darlene. I know you're in pre-foreclosure. We buy houses. Can we buy your house? That's not what we do. That's not what I do. Now I do have door knockers that when they go out, they like to say, hey, we're working with families in foreclosure. We noticed in the public records, your address came up, just wanted to know how you're doing. Is there anything we can do to help you? And so that's the approach they take. You have to make that decision. So here's the house on my list, whether it's a for sale by owner, REO, a pre-foreclosure, a probate, absentee owner list that you bought, doesn't matter what the address is. This, guys, this is where you get successful in the business. You start with that property, and again, you're going to hit 3 doors to the right, 3 doors to the left, 5 doors across the street. That's 12 houses. Every time you target one address, you put 12 flyers out, somebody's going to call you back. There's so much more to this. You got to get a global presence. And what I mean by that is, I'm going to go to the door, I'm going to leave a flyer, I'm going to skip trace and find their phone number, and I'm going to make phone calls to them, and I'm going to send text messages, and then I'm going to get their email address, and I'm going to send an email to them. And then you need a social media presence. I don't really want to get into what I think about websites, but you should have some kind of credibility package that says who you are. But the more touches, you can touch a lead, you can touch a unique address 5 to 7 times within 48 to 72 hours. The more touches you make on that lead, the better your conversions are going to be. When we send out in the mail, now this is not true for pre-foreclosures, but for everything else, when we send out in the mail, we typically send out anywhere from 6 to 9 times over a year to year and a half. And because, they say in marketing, it takes 7 times, everybody has their own number, it takes 7 times before somebody gets to know you. So you want them to go, oh my God, I see her everywhere. Oh my God, I see them everywhere. Some of you may have heard of Mark Spain, right? Everybody, Ugg Buys Ugly Houses, 1-800-44-BUYER. They got billboards everywhere, Homevestors. They've got them on the bus stop benches and everywhere, and they're on the radio and they're on the TV. That's called global presence. You can't help but know who they are. Zillow, they've done an amazing job of taking control of the market. I watched them, man. I watched Zillow from, probably around 2011. And they used to be horrible. Everybody who's ever been in the business long enough will tell you, a Zestimate, that's ridiculous. They're never right. But I watched it. I said, Wall Street investors are behind Zillow. I'm telling you. And I saw it transform from about 2011, the last decade. And they got to the point that they grabbed, I say, when you're the new guy on the block, you give away your product until everybody loves you and wants you, right? Zillow gave it away, and now they're starting to charge for it. And it's just amazing. All right, way off those rabbit trails. So automate as much as possible, time block. There's nothing more important than trying to talk to sellers and find distressed property addresses. Nothing more important in the beginning. Create your buyers list. It's almost a non-event now. If you've got good numbers, just bring them here to REI USA. We've got buyers all over the country. Oh my gosh, REI USA, you get into this one, you get into Bigger Pockets. Bigger Pockets is an amazing forum. There's a lot of different places like that. A lot of the meetup groups, the real estate investor meetup groups. Believe me, if you've got a good deal, you're not going to have a problem with buyers right now. And if you do, let us help. There's lots of us in this group here that are just more than willing. If you haven't been on REI USA Facebook group, you need to join. Same thing, lots of stuff coming and going. Keep motivated leads coming in. Even if you think you're going to buy 1 house this year, but you want to buy 5 houses or 3 houses next year, keep on keeping on. So whatever you're doing, when you time block, let's say I'm going to time block 5 hours every week to drive neighborhoods to find new addresses. I mean, like I said, if I had an army that was willing to drive 10 hours every week and 10 hours of the data entry that it takes to put the system in place, we could take this and have the phones ringing like crazy. That's what it takes. Follow up with everyone always. So when you're doing, there are many ways to find motivated sellers. I pretty much talked about all this. So pre-foreclosures is where you're buying directly from the homeowner. Pre-foreclosures has little or nothing to do with the lenders. The exception is short sales. I'm not going to really go into short sales right now, but otherwise pre-foreclosure, you're buying directly from the homeowner, direct mail, email, outbound phone calls, text messaging, driving for dollars, door knocking. You should target expired listings. When we target expired listings, I'd say 99% of the time, you're not going to be able to make a lowball cash offer and buy that house. You have to understand creative deal structuring, such as subject to or seller finance, or even joint venture with the owner. There's so many different ways to do it, but target expired listings, that's some of the low equity, no equity deals we do. MLS, looking at active listings, looking at active that have been on the market too long. Under contract, here's a secret market, guys. If you're really good at what you do, if you know a lot already, if you're an intermediate investor, get a good agent on your team and ask for all of the under contract properties where the projected closing date has passed. Now, this is not foolproof because today's like July 27th, right? So if I look up, I usually go 15 days back. So I would say end of June. So I'm going to look at under contract properties in MLS, and the closing date was supposed to be before July 1st. And I'm going to start calling, I'm going to call the agents, or I'm going to call, in most cases, I'm going to call the agents, or I'm going to text, or I'm going to email, and I'm going to say, hey, this is Darlene with KDH Realty. I have a buyer interested in your listing at 123 Main Street. I noticed that it was supposed to have closed. How's the contract coming? Oh, it already closed. We just didn't update MLS. That happens, I don't know, 2 out of 5 times. Oh, we're closing tomorrow. We're closing today. We're closing next week. Everything is fine. That happens 1 out of 5 times. So you got 2 times left. We're not sure. I said, would you take a backup offer? My buyer would like to put in a backup offer. And sometimes I call like that as an agent. Sometimes I put my investor hat on and I call as an investor. Doesn't matter that you're not an agent. You could still call the agents, but you've got to get a good agent on your team who's willing to get that list for you, or have them call and just say, hey, can you, and you look through it and let them know, say to your agents, I'm interested in all 5 of these properties. Can you please find out if they'll accept the backup offer? Let me know what happened on the closing. And they'll come back and they'll say 2 of them already closed. 1 is closing tomorrow, the next day, whatever. And of the other 2, yes, they will take backup offers. Nice opportunity. Go back here, what I said. Number 2, send follow-up offers, follow up with everyone always. Your first offer is not where you're going to win the bid most of the time in this market. So you have to know how to play a little bit deeper. FSBOs, that's for sale by owner, Craigslist, Facebook, Instagram, Zillow. Honestly, that's not my, all that social media stuff is not my forte, but you got to get on there and let people know that you're in the area and you're helping renovate, and regentrify areas, whatever the case is. Let people know what you're doing. Identify vacant properties. Once you identify vacant properties, you're back to direct mail, email, outbound phone calls, text messaging, drive for dollars, door knocking, all that stuff. So you got to identify them first. Burned out landlords. It's getting to the point now, I guarantee you, there are a lot of landlords that don't have the financial wherewithal. They don't have the reserves to stay in business as they're not getting the rents. So it's a great time to be focused on properties that the owner does not live in the property. So this is my property information sheet, also known as a lead sheet. It says pre-foreclosures, but I use it for everything. It's just a matter of what order I do it in. But this is, give me a second, let me look down here. This is it. You know what? I have these, look at this, guys. Can you see me? I have these clipboards everywhere. And when I'm in pre-foreclosure mode, which is a marathon every month in Georgia, when I'm in pre-foreclosure mode, I'm constantly filling out these sheets here. And I mean, I've had probably about 5 call me. We've only had 500 foreclosures in Georgia this month in the whole state. And I do some marketing. I don't do it to all of them, but I've had at least 5 call me, and we stopped the foreclosure on 1, working on a short sale. We purchased one in Macon, Georgia. I've got one here in Midland, Georgia, another one in Augusta, Georgia, Moultrie, Fort Oglethorpe. So I don't have one small geographical area. I have one big niche, and my niche is everything foreclosures. So you have to make that decision. Anyway, so property information sheet. This is an amazing sheet for you. I'll show you how to get it for free. I have options for you here at the end just to go ahead and get this stuff. Anyway, this is it. This is where the rubber meets the road. You know, they call me and they say, hey, I got a letter from you. I said, thank you. Who am I speaking with? And once they tell me, I'm going to show you another little thing here. Check this out. This is, you know, these are my list from pre-foreclosures, right? It doesn't come like that. Normally it comes like this. I think you can see my list, right? Somebody say yes in the chat box. Can you see my spreadsheet? Yes, thank you, Deborah. This is my way of seeing if people can still hear me. Are you still with me? All right, listen, this is my pre-foreclosure list. This is how it comes. Look at all this information. I buy this from equitydepot.net every month for the whole state. But it gives me information. It tells me the property that's being foreclosed on, the owners, the tax value, purchase price, so on, year built, the mortgage that's being foreclosed on, when it originated, who's the mortgager, who's the mortgagee. In other words, who's doing the foreclosing. Here's the attorney's name, phone number, subject, all that good stuff. Bed, bath, square foot, year built, all this good stuff here. And then I take it, and this is what I do. I take it and I say, I like it, I don't like it. Remember, my year built, I like 1970 and newer. So anything that's less than 1970 is red. And anyway, there's certain mortgage types, etc. And then I decide red means stop. I don't really like this. Green means go. Do everything you can to try to find this deal. Yellow means let's do some more digging. So that's what I do is I get this. So I have this ready and I can show you. Let's see if I've got one here. These blue. So when they call me, then I turn them blue. Here's the one I have in Warm Springs, right? Here's another one in Moultrie. So that's what I do is I try to have my information with me. This is my world. This is what I eat, drink, and sleep. And so when they call me, I say, yes, ma'am, can you tell me your name? By the way, while they're telling me their name, I'm looking it up on my list and I'm looking up, is it red, yellow, or green? Do I really want this deal? And then I say, can you spell it in case we get disconnected? Can I get your phone number? And then over here on the left-hand side, I put down today and the date, the day and the date, and then the source. This was my pre-foreclosure direct mail, 8.3.2021. That's August 3rd foreclosure, and then the address and so on. And I say, what's your situation? When it's a pre-foreclosure, instead of saying, why are you selling? I say, what's your situation? Tell me what happened. Now I shut up for once. And so I let them talk and talk and talk. And I write all over. By the way, you'll see some of these. Look at this. This is, you know, we're about 2 pages deep into this guy, front and back, all over it in the margins, up and down the sheet. Whatever yours is, you need something like this, right? What's your situation? Tell me what happened. And then immediately when they say, well, you know, I don't know, I got really sick and I was out of work and this, that, and the other, and now I'm unemployed. And I say, I'm so sorry. What do you want to have happen? I just want to get rid of the house. I just want the foreclosure to go away, and so on and so forth. I may ask some of these other questions, but when it comes to pre-foreclosure, I'm going to go down to the bottom of the sheet, existing mortgage information. So how long have you owned it? By the way, I'm already writing my answers from my cheat sheet because I already know. I said, how long have you owned it? When you purchased it, how much was it? And how much was your mortgage? What's your mortgage today? Do you know what your mortgage balance is? Who's your lender? How much is your monthly payment? Does that include the taxes and insurance? When's the last time you spoke to your lender? You know, and so on and so on and so on. So that's what I do. Now, when you're just getting started, this is what's at the bottom. If you're just getting started and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't do what she did. I'm not going to go in for the kill and start asking those mortgage information questions. Then here's what you need to do. We call it petting the dog, right? It's the small talk. You're trying to build rapport, and they call you, or you just knocked on their door, whatever. Tell me about the house. How many bedrooms? How many bathrooms? Do you know how big it is? What the square footage? What's the year built? How about the roof? How old is the roof? Like this stuff I don't really care about, but sometimes I have a person who's got their arms folded, not telling me anything, and just mean person, right? So in that case, I need to go here. I need to pet the dog. And then once I get here, then I'll go back and say, so tell me about your situation. Why are you selling? Et cetera, et cetera. And somewhere in here, it says, would you be willing to walk away from your home for what you owe on it? Where will you go and when? That's the key. That's the key right there, guys. If they have nowhere to go and they don't know when, then you don't have a deal until you help them figure that out. Oh, and here it is. So this is your cheat sheet. And I know that this is being recorded, REI USA, and Stacy will make this available to you. If you can screenshot, here's your screenshot right here. You see all those arrows? That's where the important questions are. And you see where I have highlighted and circled in red? That's it right there. No use going any further if they're not moving. And then a clipboard. So as you build your investor toolbox, build your investor toolbox, go buy 2 clipboards. This property information sheet, I'll give you a link, go get it for free. Print out 50 of them, put 25 on each one, start using it. So that's basically it. I mean, an hour doesn't give us a whole lot. I still got a bunch of things to say, but that's basically it. And here's another screenshot. Remember back in elementary school, we had to use those flashcards for multiplication tables. Go get some flashcards, go get some big index cards. I want you to write these questions. What's your situation? Why are you selling? What do you hope to have happen? And here's the magic questions. If we paid all cash and closed on the day of your choice, what's the lowest you would take? Do you have a mortgage? Would you be willing to walk away for what you owe on it? And so that's it right there. Do I need to bring all cash at closing? Can I do a subject to deal? The more subject to deals are done by being able to ask that question and go through the mortgage information questions. These are primarily the creative offers that we work on. And one other one is to kind of do a joint venture with a savvy owner that understands he's got $150,000 equity, but he lives in Utah. The property is in North Carolina, et cetera, et cetera. And we know that we're just trying to, hey, look, let's do a win-win. Here's what I can do. This is what we do. We're boots on the ground. We can make this happen because this is what we specialize. You bring the property to the table. We'll do everything else. Worst case, when I have a really good equity deal and a savvy owner that doesn't want to give it away, I'm going to drop down to, how about a joint venture? Would you be open to do the deal together? I'll put up the money to do the renovation. I'll do everything it takes to get it sold. We'll bring whatever, and you come up with a value that they get, a value that you get paid back your money, and then you split profit on some percentage. But otherwise, the creative offer types, all cash at closing, does not have to be your cash. Lease options, subject to options, short sales, wraparound mortgages. So this is what we do. This is my world. If I were doing all cash at closing, I'd have to be in areas that none of the hedge funds are in. I'm never the highest cash buyer, never. But we do some all cash at closing deals, but typically not in the primary markets. It says here, your success will be a direct result of how many sellers you talk to, knowing why they are selling and knowing how to structure the deals to meet their needs. So here's take a picture of that dinosaur QR code, or that's your link right there. Let me see if I can put this in the chat box. I'm not sure if I can. I'm not too good at this. Give me a second. Yeah, I think so. Control C. I'm going to put the link in the chat box. So there's your link. Get some free bonuses just for being here tonight. Thank you. Thank you. Please come back again when I'm here again, 4th Tuesday. And if you let me know what subjects you guys want to talk about, I'll be more than happy to prepare and spend time on it. So this is the free property information sheet. That's the one I told you. Got to have those. You got to go buy your clipboards. If you join my program one day, I got UFF clipboards, Ultimate Foreclosure Formula. Come see me in Acworth, Georgia. I'll give you a clipboard. We do go driving for dollars at times, by the way. If you can get 35 people together or more, we'll go do a driving for dollars in your territory. And it's amazing. It's a whole day. If you're going out driving, you need to spend no less than 4 hours. no less than 4 hours. We took a trip. It was 52 minutes from beginning to end, 16 addresses. It took us all day and we only made it to 8 addresses. But it was so invaluable. I mean, I'm telling you, you learn that you want to go farm this market, this territory, this neighborhood. That means you want to talk to everybody in that neighborhood. You want to put it on your list of spending, $200 a month on marketing in that neighborhood and stay on that neighborhood for a couple years until you start buying houses in there. After the seller says yes, what do I do next? Here's another freebie for you. This is what's scary. He's like, oh, Darlene, I can do that. What she taught me, and that's pretty easy. I can find people all day long. I work in the gas station, or I work at the drive-through window somewhere, or whatever. I talk to people all the time. I'm an Uber driver. Get these people to do it for you. As soon as you have somebody that says, yes, I need to sell in the next 30 days, you say, thanks so much for taking the time to talk with me about your house. Let me see how I can make the numbers work. What I want to do now is do a little research on the computer and see what the market looks like in the area and discuss it with my partners. If the numbers look good and I think we can make it work, then I'll call you back and arrange a time to come out and go over the agreement with you and review the whole process together. Is that fair enough? Yes. If you like everything and agree, all I ask is you be prepared to sign the agreement. Is that fair enough? Yes. So I didn't tell you, I usually tell this in the beginning, but my sales background started in the 80s in Buffalo, New York. By the way, in the 80s in Buffalo, New York, there was no economy to talk about. J&L Steel, the steel industry was shutting down, and they were 4 generations in the steel mills. And I was selling Encyclopedia Britannica. You got to get an education, guys. And, they didn't think at the time yet that their kids needed that great of an education. They were making great money. They were union workers, making lots of money in the steel industry. It was a tough sale, to say the least. Anyway, Britannica had some amazing training, and I spent 5 years surviving selling Encyclopedia Britannica. But one of the things I learned in that training was you have to memorize your presentation. You have to understand what are the objections, what are the rebuttals, what are the negotiation techniques. How do you lead somebody to where you want them to go without being a pushy snake oil salesman, right? So I memorized so much, and I was young, and I was horrible, and I cried and I hated it. But I learned how to get good at it. And it's amazing what that training took me through since the 80s until now. But in real estate, it's kind of what I train. But all you need is memorize this one script. I just want you to write this down 500 times. Remember in school, write it 500 times. Or put it on an index card and start saying it. I just want you to get your version of the Fair Enough script. So number one, by the way, so all this comes from here. This is another free bonus. It's that same link. This is my ebook, 5 Easy Steps to Investing in Real Estate. Number one, go get some business cards. Number 2, give them away as fast as you can. Number 3, when you find somebody, tell everybody you're looking to buy a house in the next 30 days. Do you know anybody who needs to sell a house in the next 30 days? Great. What's the address? When can I go see it? That's number 3. What's the address? When can I go see it? Number 4 is thank you so much for answering my questions, showing me the house. Here's what I need to do now. I got to go get on my computer, just look at the market analysis, talk to my partner, and get back to you. If we can make it work, I'll let you know. If we can't, I'll let you know that too. Is that fair enough? And then last but not least, you're going to put it in my deal portal. We'll underwrite it for you. We'll tell you what your MAO is, your maximum allowable offer. We'll partner with you, whatever you want to do. That's it, guys. That's it in a nutshell. That's how easy getting investing in real estate. Now I see Mark, I know you're not brand new. Some of you folks are not brand new, but I know there's a couple of you that might be. So this is good stuff. Just go ahead and get this. Free deal analysis. This is what I said. This is the last one. So you go to ultimateforeclosureformula.com and you'll click on investor resources. And after you click on investor resources, it says submit a potential deal. So wherever your deal is, I promise you, me and my team, I have a few team players that we're the only ones that see this. We're not going to steal your deal. We'd love to partner with you. If nothing else, join our program, get coaching, but either way, we're going to give you the analysis. We'll help you. You can do one-on-one with me. And we just want to see you successful. I mean, it's awesome. You know, I'm very much like Stacy. We give a lot. So, but this is, a lot of people say, Darlene, it's not working. All those little asterisks means those are required fields. If you start putting stuff in and it doesn't submit, it doesn't say, are you a robot? And you say no, at the end, it should say it's submitted. Once it submits, you'll start getting an email or two. And we don't sell your email list, by the way. We don't sell our list or anything like that. But you'll get an email that says, thank you, we've looked at it, we're going to take a look at it, and you'll get the analysis. And then I'll reach out to you, or Kyle will reach out to you in email and kind of look at it from there. If you don't know an answer and it's required field, put in a number 1 or put in a period as a placeholder, just so you can get past it. The more information you put in, the more analysis will get pulled out. We basically take, I've created a rehab grid based on thousands of renovations we've done. It's based on just the year built and the square footage. So it's, again, this is a preliminary deal analysis, right? But I can't tell you how many of us are so analytical, right? Is the word. We're so detail oriented. We want to know everything before we pull the trigger. You don't need to. I want you to talk to more sellers, do less work. Talk to more sellers, do less work. Make more offers, do less analyzing. Make offers. If you understand how to make an offer properly, you're protected. If they accept your offer, that's the best thing that can happen, not the worst thing. But I'll tell you, it's scary. When they start accepting your offer, you go, uh-oh, what'd I do wrong? It's okay. If they accept your offer, you're going to build airtight offers that give you weasel clauses or a way to walk away from it. If someone says, give me $5,000 non-refundable earnest money, close the door, put down the phone, and go the other way. Until you understand how to do that properly, do not give anyone $5,000 non-refundable earnest money. I promise you, you're going to be in trouble if you don't know what you're doing. I've done it, but I know what I'm doing. So I don't think I've ever lost earnest money. Nobody on my shift ever lost earnest money, but I have students and investors come to me all the time. Hey, Darlene, I need your help. I need to get my earnest money back. I know right then I need my pad and paper. When was your contract date? When was your earnest money? When did it go hard? Whatever. So don't call me after the fact. Let's help you save it, write the contract well. Even in this competitive market, do not lose your earnest money. Anyway, so submit your deal, right? 5 easy steps. Find the deal, talk to them, thank them, memorize the fair enough script, and upload your property here if you need our help. And this is part of what comes back. So you'll get an email that looks like this, right? This is what comes once you do that. And the cash mayo, the maximum allowable offer based on preliminary analysis, says you can offer $119,000 for this. The cash mayo based on what information somebody else put in. If you put in an ARV or you put in your own rehab budget, you can see here it's the cash mayo, which is maximum allowable offer, was $129,000. Look at the ARV in red, $240,000. So, you know, who's going to sell you this property in Lawrenceville, Georgia for $119,000 when it's worth $240,000? So you got to be prepared. You got to know what you're doing. So typically we'll make a cash offer and we'll close next Friday, whatever the day is, we'll close next Friday. If somebody sold me this house for $120,000 and it's worth $240,000, I'll close next Friday. I'll find the money. Otherwise, I'm going to offer their price, my terms. As a matter of fact, on $240,000 in Lawrenceville, I may offer them $250,000 as long as I can get my terms. $5,000 down. And let's see, in Lawrenceville here, this is a 1,700 square foot home. You know, I'm going to offer them, I'll give them $5,000 down, I'll give them $250,000, and I'll give them $800 a month because I'm going to cash flow $500 a month or more. So that's the beauty of learning how to do the creative financing. All right, last but not least, there's a free, I think it's 75 or 90-minute webinar. You can go listen to more of me if you hadn't had enough. So that's just a free webinar. Of course, everything leads to, hey guys, if you're really serious, I have an amazing, I've just put many elements together. It's an irresistible offer for $497. You can join me and my team for the next 90 days. And I have a boot camp coming up August 6th, 7th, and 8th. It's virtual, but it's all day, 10 a.m. until on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, next weekend, not this weekend, but next weekend. But it's included. We do office hours, virtual office hours, Friday mornings, Tuesday afternoons. We do deals. We were on the phone today with a couple sellers. So join us. Ultimately, if you're ready, but you got to be ready. I push hard. I'm sure you could probably tell, right? I push hard. I want you have work to do in order to benefit from joining our program. But in the meantime, all this good stuff here should help you get well on your way. And I love what I do, and I'm so excited. Believe it or not, our time is up. Thank you. Thank you. I'll stay on for a minute and do some Q&A, but put me on your calendar and let me know, what subjects we need to cover. I think next month, which will be August 24th is the next one. I think I'm going to do auction. We'll go start looking at some auctions is what we'll do. But that is it. Thank you. Thank you so much. You got any quick questions that I can answer? Otherwise, man, oh man, I can't believe I can talk so much. Do I run ads on any platforms? I don't understand the question too much. I don't think so. What kind of ads? Why do I feel the tsunami won't come until 2023 of Facebook? So lots of people do. I really stink at the platforms, but it's definitely, I know a lot of people that do, and they do good with it. I just stink at it. Why do I feel the tsunami won't come until 2023? Because there's so many groups out there fighting the fight that lenders shouldn't be foreclosing. And, last year was a wild card year, and this year is another wild card year. And the big guys, what is it? Wells Fargo, Chase, Bank of America, at least 2 out of 3 of them said they're not going to start foreclosing until 2022. The lenders are going to do everything they can to help the homeowners, but the homeowners have to help themselves. And if that's the case, it's not that there won't be foreclosures, but it's going to take a minute, in my opinion. So there is our strongest season in real estate typically is spring. Everybody likes to buy and sell houses in the spring. And so organically, spring 2022 is going to be better than the rest of the year. So no matter what happens between now and the end of the year, spring is going to spring back and be a little bit good. And so then it's going to be summer before we really see what's really happening out there. And so come summer and fall, then I'm going to start seeing, I guarantee you, we're going to see some type of government incentives to help things move along again. But so I think it's going to take at least until 2023 for the momentum to pick up on the foreclosures. And then it'll just keep rolling. Once the momentum picks up and the foreclosures, the lenders are foreclosing again, it'll just start doubling and quadrupling and so on. So that's what I think. All right, guys, have a good evening. Thanks so much. Hope to see you again. You too.